This boy was trolling on the dark web when her sister noticed he slammed his laptop shut. He was shivering, and she knew something was wrong. Scared, he immediately ran to the living room. She yelled, "What happened?" But he wouldn't say anything. He started freaking out, closing all of their blinds, locking the front door, and she begged him to tell her what was going on. He was freaking out, and that's when she opened his laptop. She couldn't believe it. Someone sent him a picture of their front door. They sent another picture, and when she clicked on it, it was a picture of her through their window that said, "She looks tasty." She couldn't breathe. She was about to run and grab their dad, but her brother grabbed her arm saying, "No, he'll kill me if he knew I was on there." Neither of them slept that night until someone rang the doorbell the next morning. A guy with a badge told their dad they saw some suspicious activity coming from their network, but he told him he didn't know anything about it. He told them to stay safe. But the next day in class, her principal burst through their door. She told her she had to come with her that second and that the police were there, and she followed her to the office thinking it had to be her brother. But the second she walked in, she saw the same guy from yesterday holding his badge. He smiled when he saw her and told her there was an emergency at her house. He grabbed her arm and tried to pull her out, but she resisted. "No, tell me what happened. Is my brother okay?" But he didn't say anything. "Come with us." She didn't want to, but her principal nodded and said, "They're police officers, honey. Go with them." They took her outside, but she noticed their car didn't have any police stickers on it. She thought these guys must just be undercover, but when they put her in the back, she immediately noticed there weren't any door handles either. There was no way she could get out. "Where are we going?" But they laughed. She was sweating now. "Please, I just want to see my brother," but they didn't say anything until they saw flashing lights behind them. Both of the guys immediately got nervous, and when she realized it was the police, she knew this was her chance. The cop was walking up to the car, and she was about to scream for help, but just before she did, she felt something sharp in her stomach. She looked down and saw the man holding a knife against her. The cop walked up and looked inside the car, and when he saw her crying, he looked suspicious. She tried anything she could to signal for help, but the man said, "That's just my niece. She's upset because we didn't get McDonald's." She couldn't say anything. The knife was already cutting her skin, and the cop just told them to have a good day. She was crying, but they drove off. She accepted her life was over. She wasn't ever gonna see her family again until they started arguing. "He saw our faces, man. If we kill her, they're gonna know it was us." So in that moment, they opened the door and threw her out, and she had to run back with her hands tied. This boy was trolling on the dark. We were sitting in the living room watching Shark Tank when my daughter looked at me and said, Mommy, I'm gonna be the youngest CEO in the whole neighborhood." The next weekend, she set up a lemonade stand, but instead of mixing regular country time lemonade like every other kid, she came up with a bright idea. She spent the morning in our kitchen, mixing what she called gourmet flavors, watermelon mint, strawberry basil, and something she called lavender honey that actually tasted incredible. She printed labels from our home printer and charged 50 cents more per cup than every other kid on the block. Our neighbor, Mrs. Haggerty, was having a yard sale that weekend. Mia knocked on her door and offered her 10% of her profits to set up in front of her driveway for the foot traffic. She was out there at 7 in the morning with a painted sign and little sample cups for people to try before they bought. She sold out by noon. Saturday afternoon, she recruited 2 neighborhood kids and gave them matching visors. She trained them on how to greet customers and how to make change. By Sunday morning, she was running a 3-person operation from our front yard. That's when the man in the BMW pulled up. He looked at the stand and said he only had Apple Pay. Mia reached under the table and pulled out her dad's portable card reader. She held it up to him and said, "No problem, sir. You can swipe, tap, or contactless. No excuses." His mouth dropped open while a 9-year-old processed his credit card for $3 worth of lemonade. An hour later, a kid 3 houses down set up his own stand. Mia walked over with her biggest smile and said, "Hey Noah, wanna merge? We'd cover way more customers together." Intimidated by her professional setup, he agreed immediately. Within an hour, she'd absorbed his whole operation and put him in charge of what she called their satellite location. By the end of the weekend, she counted everything out on the kitchen table, $217. She looked at her dad and said, "I just made more money than your Starbucks habit costs you in a week." Then she pulled out a notebook and started flipping through pages of profit margins and expense tracking for every flavor. I asked her where she learned about profit margins. She looked at me like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "YouTube, Mom. There's tutorials for everything." We were sitting in I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. "Don't react and keep walking. Someone's following you." Suddenly turned around and saw a man in a dark hood 30 feet behind me, matching my pace. I stopped for a second, and he instantly leaned against like object and no longer trying to be discreet. I knew I had no choice but to trust the officer. I told him the man was closer, and he looked around, pointing to an alleyway nearby. This cuts through to the other side of the street. You can call a cab from there. He gripped my arm even tighter and pulled me. I was about to just go with it, but then I saw a taxi sitting 50 feet in front of me with its light on. I told the officer I'll just take this one, but his grip tightened. The man is still too close and the alleyway is safer. He tried pulling me again, but I yanked my arm free and sprinted toward the cab. He reached for me again, but I was too far away. I got in and locked the door, shaking and unsure what to even think. Then 3 weeks later, I was watching the morning news, and my coffee slipped out of my hands. 2 men were arrested for the murder of a woman. The officer who grabbed my arm and the man in the hood. They worked together. The man followed her at night, and the officer lured her into an alleyway under the guise of safety. The woman who trusted the officer never came home to her kids. I was walking alone at my daughter came home holding candy, and I instantly asked, "Where'd you get that?" She just smiled. An old man was at the bus stop today. He gave it to us. Alarm bells started going off in my head. The next morning, I walked with her to the bus station. The man was standing there holding a bowl of candy. He just started handing them out, and I knew something had to be wrong. I grabbed my daughter's arm. "Wait, don't eat that." I took it from her and checked it for anything bad. The man just smiled at me, but when Sadie's mom saw him, she panicked. "What are you giving my daughter? Stay away from her, you creep." He looked upset and just walked away without looking back. I was confused, but when he showed up the next day, Sadie's mom lost it. She started calling him a stalker and called the police. He tried to tell her he wanted to keep them safe, but she knew something had to be wrong. The police came and put him in handcuffs, but he kept saying he was keeping them safe. I thought it was weird, but when I was watching the news that night, I couldn't believe it. Apparently he had a heart attack later that day, but they were saying he was a hero. Apparently his daughter was waiting for the bus playing too close to the road and got hit by a car. So the old man would go to bus stops and hand out her favorite candy to keep other kids away from the road. All he wanted to do was make sure none of us had to go through the same pain he did. I was pushing my baby on the swings when an old woman walked up to us and said, "Such a beautiful baby. May I see his shoulder?" I immediately pulled my son off the swing and backed away. As we left, I heard her whisper, "The birthmark. I need to see if he has the birthmark." 2 weeks later, she was parked in front of our building, hunched over her steering wheel, crying. When she saw me notice her, she drove away quickly. I held my baby extra tight that night and decided to take him to a smaller park 6 blocks away, just to be safe. But she showed up there too, this time with a teddy bear. The tag was still on it, but it looked old, like it had been saved for decades. I grabbed my son out of the swing and yelled, "Leave us alone!" But she latched onto my shoulder and said, "Please, I just need to know about the birthmark. Does he have a star-shaped mark on his left shoulder?" I yanked her hand off and threatened to call the police. She backed off but followed us home at a distance, repeating, "My son had the same mark. Please just tell me." The next time she was at the park, a woman was with her saying, "Mom, you have to stop this. It's been 40 years. James is gone." The older woman broke down completely. "He's not gone. If I could just see the birthmark, I'd know." That's when I'd had enough. I marched over with my baby in my arms but froze. at me. What in the world is going on here? Why are these children acting like you're in charge? Mrs. Givens sprinted back over and grabbed his elbow. Stop talking right now. The new teacher yanked his arm away and turned back to me. I am not letting a second grader run this playground. He marched up the bleachers and grabbed my wrist. You're coming with me to the principal's office right now. Before he could pull me down, two men in black suits came running across the yard. They slammed him into the grass and pinned his hands behind his back without saying a word. I climbed down from the bleachers and crouched next to his ear. Don't you ever disrespect me again. I dropped a goldfish into his mouth, stood up, and walked off. That's when the principal came running out of the building. He took one look and dropped to his knees. Please forgive us, Miss Sweetie King. Mr. Dealwood will be fired by the end of the day. I kept walking past him without a word, munching on goldfish. The principal slapped Mr. Dealwood in the back of the head. You idiot! Her family runs the entire underground crime scene. I was eating goldfish on the bleachers when two fourth graders. My daughter asked me, Mom, can I dye my hair blonde? I knocked my chair back so hard it hit the wall. What did you just say to me? Juliet flinched. I just asked if I could dye my— No, stop. Something is wrong with you. You told your aunt she looked like a burnt corn husk for going blonde. You told a girl her hair looked like it was dipped in piss. And now you want to be blonde? She started crying. Why are you screaming at me? It's literally just a color. I should have felt guilty, but I knew something was seriously wrong with my daughter. The next morning, Juliet walked into the kitchen asking me to make her scrambled eggs. I spat out my water because Juliet has gagged at eggs her entire life. I made them anyway because I needed to watch her eat them. She ate every single bite. Thanks, Mom. These were really good. I called my best friend for help. She said I was spiraling. My mom told me to stop smothering Juliet. Her father just said, relax. Nobody was listening to me, but I wasn't wrong. Because before that he was a psychiatrist and could help. The psychiatrist asked, Juliet, do you have gaps in your memory? She looked scared. Sometimes I'm at school and then I'm home and I don't remember the drive. He recorded the session and then played parts of it back for her. She watched in horror. That's not me. I didn't say that. That was 11 minutes ago, Juliet. He sat back in his chair. Juliet, what I'm about to tell you is going to be hard to hear, but I need you to listen. She was shaking. You have something called dissociative identity disorder. The blonde hair, the eggs, calling your mother Petra. That wasn't you, Juliet. There is someone else in your mind, and when she comes forward, you don't remember any of it. Juliet looked terrified. Juliet started treatment that same month. The alter's name is Eloise. She likes scrambled eggs and calls me Petra. Juliet still hates blonde hair. Eloise still asks to dye it. Some mornings I can tell who I'm talking to before she said while someone from Child Protective Services knocked on our front door. We'd been filming our morning routine for the 13th time because I kept blinking wrong. My face ached from holding the same smile since 6 a.m., and the ring lights had burned fresh marks up both my arms. My mom yanked my sleeves down over the burns before she opened the door. My dad grabbed my school workbook off the counter and shoved it under the couch. The woman at the door held up a badge and introduced herself as Melinda. A viewer sent us screenshots of bruises and burns on your daughter from your recent videos. My mom walked around behind Melinda where only I could see her face twist into a silent threat. I smiled with all my teeth showing. Everything is amazing here. I love making videos with my parents every single day. Melinda swiped to a photo on her tablet and held it up. Then why do you have a black eye covered with makeup in this video from last week? I hit a doorknob because I'm clumsy and my mom helped me cover it so viewers wouldn't worry. Melinda looked at me and back at my parents. She's 10. Why isn't she in school right now? My mom cut in fast. She doesn't need school. She makes more money than most adults. Show me her schoolwork. My mom just stared at her. We don't waste time on books when she could be filming. Melinda stood up straighter. I need to speak with your daughter alone. My dad stepped forward, but Melinda held up her badge. Refuse and I call the police. Your choice. They went into the kitchen, but left the door cracked open. Melinda put a piece of paper in my hands. Read this out loud for me. I stared at the page for a long time and just held it up and smiled. I love reading. She put a pen in my hand. Write your name for me. My hand hovered over the paper, but I couldn't remember how to spell it. Everything is perfect, I whispered, and my eyes went to the cracked door. Melinda leaned in close enough that only I could hear. I'm getting them out of this room. She stood up and opened the kitchen door. Leave this house completely, or I call for backup right now. My dad slammed the front door on his way out. She sat back down and looked at me. Where do you sleep? My jaw ached from smiling all day, and my eyes burned. In the basement. I walked her downstairs to a concrete floor with 2 thin blankets and no pillow. Melinda photographed everything and rolled my sleeves up and looked at the burns running up both arms. How did these happen? The lights get really hot during filming. She went straight to my parents and pulled out her phone. Your daughter can't read. She can't write her name. She's covered in burns and she sleeps on concrete. I am removing her from your care right now. My dad gripped the door frame. This kid is our property and we own everything she makes. Melinda held the phone closer to his face. 2 officers showed up 20 minutes later, and my aunt was right behind them. She knelt down in front of me and wrapped both arms around my shoulders. You never have to smile for a camera again. Of the bucket in a plie, and my heart was pumping with adrenaline. I could see my bully Veronica in the front row, giggling with all the mean girls. She mouthed the words, "Careful, ballerina." She was trying to get me to flinch and fall under the slime bucket, so I tensed my body and kept dancing. I did a quadruple turn, gracefully landing with my hands raised above my head. Most of the auditorium clapped, and my college scout nodded while writing in his clipboard, but I noticed one of the mean girls was recording me, and when our eyes met, she mouthed, "You won't last long, ballerina. Everyone's about to watch you eat it." My knees started shaking because it was time for my grand finale, the final jump right under the slime bucket. I heard a whistle from behind the stage and saw Veronica was now standing where no one could see her, and her hand was on the rope of the bucket, getting ready to dump the entire thing own head. All of her fake friends turned their cameras towards her, still live streaming and laughing. Veronica stood frozen, green sludge sliding off her chin onto her screen. "Delete it," she screamed, clawing at her eyes. My scout caught my eye through the chaos and nodded once. "I've seen enough," he called up to the stage. "Welcome to Juilliard." My teacher fed me pineapple, which I'm allergic to, so I brought my own treats to class as revenge. I've had pineapple allergy my whole life, and I've nearly unalived from it so many times I can't even watch SpongeBob anymore without getting anxious. So when Mrs. Wallace walked into chemistry class with a huge pan of pineapple upside-down cake, everyone groaned because her baking was terrible. She said, "I stayed up all night making this for you ungrateful kids." Lucky for me, I had the perfect excuse. I politely told her that I was deathly allergic to pineapple, but it looked amazing, and everyone else would love it. Mrs. Wallace's face turned red, and she said, "I don't think so, young lady. Sit down and try a piece. I literally can't eat pineapple. I don't even have my EpiPen today because I didn't know there would be pineapple at school." "You're lying. Nobody's allergic to pineapple. It's not even native to where white people live." "That's exactly why I'm allergic to it." The whole class was dead silent. Everyone knew about my allergy because I'd had reactions at school before from someone's tropical fruit salad, and even from touching a desk where someone had spilled pineapple juice. Mrs. Wallace walked over to my desk and put a huge piece of cake in front of me. The pineapple chunks were oozing juice all over the chocolate cake part, which looked burnt. "Either you eat this cake or I drop everyone's grade a full letter." Everyone stared at me. Kayla mouthed, "Don't do it," but Tommy looked panicked because he was already at a C- and couldn't go back to summer school. I looked at that disgusting cake and thought about my mom. She couldn't afford another hospital bill. We were still paying off the last one from when I accidentally drank someone's pina colada at the mall thinking it was lemonade, but the whole class was counting on me. I took the smallest bite possible. The cake was somehow both burnt and raw in the middle, and the pineapple was so sour my eyes watered. But that wasn't the worst part. Within 30 seconds, my tongue started tingling. Then my throat felt tight like someone was squeezing it. My lips were swelling up and I could feel hives spreading across my neck. "I need help," I whispered, but it came out weird because my tongue was swollen. The last thing I remember was Kayla screaming and Mrs. Wallace saying, "She's faking," before everything went black. I woke up in the hospital with tubes in my arm and my mom crying next to my bed. The room was full of get well cards from everyone in chemistry class, but nothing from Mrs. Wallace. The doctor said I was lucky Kayla's mom was a nurse and had taught her to recognize anaphylaxis. Since I got a second chance at life, I got an idea. I spent the next 2 days at home recovering and making special honey jars for everyone in class. Each jar had a cute label that said, "That was a sticky situation. Thanks for the get well card," with little bee drawings. I made 23 small jars for the students and one special larger jar for Mrs. Wallace. When I walked back into chemistry, everyone started clapping. I handed out the honey jars and everyone loved them. Mrs. Wallace was at her desk grading papers and pretending I didn't exist. "Mrs. Wallace, I brought you honey too," I said sweetly. She looked up suspicious, but I could tell she didn't want to look mean in front of everyone again. "That's very thoughtful, Taylor," she said in this fake voice. She was drinking her usual morning tea, so I walked over and squeezed a huge glob of honey into her mug. She stirred it and took a big sip. I went back to my seat and whispered to Kayla, "Watch this." About 5 minutes into class, Mrs. Wallace's face got red. She started shifting in her seat. Then she let out the loudest fart I've ever heard in my life. The class went silent. Then someone started giggling. A trail behind her. Kayla pulled me aside and whispered, "What did you put in that honey?" "It's freshly made ghost pepper infused honey." My teacher
My son.
I handed a flight attendant a napkin that said, "The man next to me is not my father. Please help." She smiled and asked me if I wanted any peanuts. Then she walked away. My heart sank and I felt Arthur's hand squeezing my thigh under the tray table. "You're not thinking about doing something stupid, are you?" I shook my head and he smiled and patted me like a dog saying, "Good girl." But I looked at the flight attendant and wondered if she was going to help me because in 3 hours we would land and then I would vanish like the others Arthur told me about. But after a few minutes, the flight attendant came back pushing the drink cart. "Ma'am, we have a medical situation and need to move a few few passengers so the crew can access the emergency equipment. Arthur's hand clamped down on my wrist. She's not moving. The flight attendant kept her eyes on me and said, "Sir, I need to hear from her directly." But Arthur told her, "She's my daughter, and she's not right in the head. You move her and she'll have an episode." And so she bent down to fix something under my seat, and I felt her breath on my ear. When I squeezed your hand, you run. And then she stood up and smiled at Arthur. "Let me check with my boss." But she reached toward me like she was handing me a pack of peanuts. Then her fingers closed around mine and squeezed hard. I ripped my arm free from Arthur and threw myself into the aisle. He lunged after me and grabbed my arm. "You stupid girl, you're not going anywhere." And then the flight attendant slammed into him and yelled, "Get your hands off her." But Arthur shoved her into a drink cart and she hit the floor. But she yanked his leg, which sent him crashing into a row of seats. That's when two men grabbed him. "Federal air marshals, don't move," Arthur thrashed. "That's my daughter. She's insane and off her medication. Call the police." "We are the police." TSA flagged your name. You're wanted in 3 states. Arthur looked at me desperately saying, "Tell them you wanted this." But I crouched down so my face was inches from his. "I want you to rot." I handed a flight attendant a napkin.
My son ripped open his birthday present, saw the PS5, and pushed it to the side. "Mom, I said I wanted a PC. I picked up the box. If you don't want it, you're not getting anything at all." He crossed his arms. "Fine, I don't even want that crappy PS5. All my friends have PCs." That PS5 took me 3 months of overtime and skipped lunches to save for, so I grabbed it and drove straight to the store. My son was about to find out what ungrateful gets you. I was standing in the return line when I noticed a kid about 9 by the game shelf, holding a PS5 case with both hands like it was made of gold. He ran to his mom, who had cigarette burns on her jacket and bags under her eyes. Mom, you gotta see this." She put her hand on his shoulder. "We can't afford that baby. I'm sorry." He put the case back on the shelf, ran his fingers across it one more time, and walked away. I stepped out of the return line because I'd rather give it to a kid who'd care about it than let my son think he'd ever get it back. I grabbed the game he'd been holding, bought it with the PS5, and caught them in the parking lot. His mom saw the bag and shook her head before I could say a word. "We don't take charity." She took her son's hand and started walking. I pulled out my phone and FaceTimed my son so he could watch what his PS5 was about to do for someone else. I held the bag out one more time. "It's not charity. Santa sent me." She stopped walking. Her son pulled his hand free and walked back to me. He opened the bag and his whole body froze. "Mom, a PS5! Mom, a PS5!" She grabbed my arm with both hands and couldn't get any words out. My son on the other end of the phone was screaming and slamming his fists on his bed. The kid stopped mid-jump and stared at my phone. "Is he okay?" I smiled. "Yeah, he's just really happy for you." Neighborly. He reached across me again and poked the girl. Hey, I'm talking to you. Take the headphones out." I stopped him. "Those aren't headphones. They're noise-canceling earpieces. She needs them." "For what? The plane's not that loud." I shook my head. I didn't want to explain Amara's file to a stranger on a plane. The refugee camp where she'd spent 7 years. The militia attack that killed her parents in front of her. The 36 hours she spent under her mother's body, not moving, barely breathing. "Sir, I need you to stop talking to her." "Or what?" He laughed. "I paid for my seat same as you. I can talk to whoever I want." Amara was rocking now. Small movements. The way she did when things got too loud, too close, too much. He waved down a flight attendant. "Excuse me, this woman is being extremely rude. I've been trying to have a simple conversation and she keeps shutting me down." The flight attendant walked over. "If she's making other passengers uncomfortable, then she should really take the headphones off." She reached for Amara's ear to take it off. "Don't touch her." Too late. The earpiece came out and Amara screamed. Not a startled scream, a primal, broken, terrified scream. The kind that comes from somewhere so deep it doesn't sound human. She threw herself against the window and started hitting herself over and over again, clawing at the plastic, hyperventilating, screaming words into Grynia that I couldn't understand but didn't need to. The whole plane went silent. Amara, it's okay. You're safe. You're safe." She wasn't hearing me. She was somewhere else. 7 years ago, listening to machetes drag across concrete while hiding from people who wanted to hurt her. The man in 14A had pressed himself against the aisle, face white. I didn't know. You didn't ask." I was trying to hold Amara without restraining her. I had no idea how I was going to help her. And that's when an ex-veteran in uniform from 3 rows back stood beside us. He didn't say anything, just stared at us. He pulled off his own noise-canceling headphones and held them out to me. The flight attendant stepped toward him. "Sir, you need to return to your..." He held up one hand. Didn't look at her. Didn't need to. She stopped mid-sentence. I slid his headphones over Amara's ears. Her hands flew up to grip them, hold them in place. Her eyes were still wild, but her mouth closed. The screaming stopped. He gave me a single nod, then walked back to his seat without another word. The flight attendant's face crumpled. I'm sorry. I didn't know this would happen. The man said he felt unsafe. Shut the F up. You chose his comfort over a traumatized child's medical needs. During my flight, a man... Shut the F up. You chose his comfort...